Alright, we're back. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions about my car, what I've done to it, what's in it, how I get reliability out of it, what I've done to prepare it for a turbo, and so on. So I thought I'd just do a video on my car, the journey that I've had since I've owned it. I only bought it about July last year, so it's still pretty new, but I bought it from a local girl that had it that had low compression, wouldn't start. So I ended up pretty much rebuilding it within the first week that I had it. Now, when I compression tested it, I was only getting about 45 psi on the front and about 65 psi in the rear, so I couldn't even get it started. Didn't know what condition it was in, but the exterior was good, the interior was good, everything looked pretty clean, so I bit the bullet and got that. Now, it's been a journey. Let's have a look under there. So, obviously, intake pipe here, as you see in the last video, and intercooler pipe that comes down, sneaks past the chassis support rail and goes down to the intercooler in the front here. There's an intercooler down there, which you can sort of see. So down here. Now on the RX, unfortunately, because the radiator is essentially a V mount, it does restrict some flow a little bit to the radiator, so cooling is affected a little bit, but it's still, I very rarely ever see 92 degrees Celsius on the engine coolant temperature, so it works. But I will eventually, I reckon I'll probably do a V mount intercooler as well. Not sure when, but yeah, we'll come up with a plan for that. But for right now, low boost, I'm running a 7 psi spring on my wastegate, and occasionally I'm going up to 9. But as far as the engine and the keg goes, so the 13B Renesis motor, I literally rebuilt it with all OEM springs, seals, everything. So because it was low compression, it was literally just apex seals were stuck, and the corner seals were stuck, and the side seals were stuck. So I'll put up a few photos of that. Now, everything inside of the engine was pretty good. The rotor housings we used were reused, the irons were reused, the bearings were good, the side seals were good, the corner seals were good, the springs though were all shagged, they're all flattened, and every seal was stuck inside of the rotor. So when I took it apart, I literally had to put it in an ultrasonic cleaner for about a day to loosen everything up, to stop them from breaking when I pried them out of the rotor. Now, if I had have done it again, I would have ported the engine. I don't know why I didn't. I think I was just in that rush of going, I just want to get it done, I want to get it rebuilt, get it running, and I couldn't find a template, and I was getting mixed feelings about which way to go. So originally when I bought the car, I was just like, yep, I'm just going to buy an RX-8, keep it stock. Rebuilt it, got it all running, didn't have any plans to go to this extent, as you never do. Within probably, I reckon about a month of driving it around as an automatic. So this was a 4-speed auto. With a sports pack, so it's got the strut braces front and rear, 325mm rotors on the front, LSD on the back. So it's pretty much a sports pack, which is good because it's a good base for the 4-port turbo. But after about a month of driving around and getting smashed by MX-5s with P-plates, I went, yeah, nah, not enough. So I went and got a 6-speed manual box. So being it's an automatic car and it was converted to a manual, there are a few weird and wonderful things that have to happen. So the automatic has a transmission control module, which goes up near where the clutch pedal sits. So I've had to remove that, which I'm going to grab that. So this is the module I had to remove, which just sits up under the pedals. So yeah, remove the transmission control module, which I'll put a photo up on the screen for that. And that just, when that's in the car and the ECU is trying to communicate with it, as soon as you go into a gear, the RPM increases because it's trying to correct the RPM and the load of the engine for the automatic gearbox. So you need to remove that. It plays up with some funny stuff. So all I did was just unplug it and left the cables up. I just tucked them up above underneath the dash and zip tied them out of the way. And as for the engine loom, it is still the automatic engine loom. The only difference between the manual and the auto loom is obviously the manual one has APV, fresh air duct, solenoid up near where the airbox is. And on the gearbox side, it just has two plugs, one for reverse sensor and one for neutral safety. So it just tells the ECU it's either in gear or it's not in gear, and when it's in reverse and when it's not in reverse. And then the starter motor cable had to be extended by 300 mil or so. So I just pretty much took out the starter motor cable, got some decent 4-gauge wire from Jayco. So reran this cable here. So this one just there, I can see. Hello, there we go. Jesus, that was difficult. So that cable there just goes into the battery box. All I did was just undo that and replace this cable entirely. So I've also run an 8-gauge from here through to here. And then I got my ignition coil power branched off of that because I got IGN 1A coils, which draw a hell of a lot of power. And then, just snaked it down through here, left the alternator wiring all in here. And she starts clicking now, but I do have a Optima 34R red top battery as well. Because the battery was originally in the boot. And when I had the top mount turbo, it was fine, but I hate having batteries in the boot. I prefer them under the bonnet. Now, as far as supporting mods, I really haven't done a hell of a lot to it. So I've got I think it's a 600 by 300 by 75 intercooler on the front, which is just a generic eBay one. Didn't cost much. For fueling, I am running a DW200 fuel pump. So that's a Dashworks DW200, which I'll grab that for you as well. So one of them. Stock pump was perfectly fine, but it even looks pretty brand new. But it looks good. But I didn't think it'd be enough, so I replaced it. Stock fuel pressure regulator in the tank, and the siphoning is still intact. Everything's still there. Didn't run a return. It's all stock 43 psi fuel pressure. Now on the primary injectors, I am running the 6-port yellow injectors in primary, so the 476 or 479 cc injectors, and the secondaries, I am running Bosch EV14 1650 cc's. Now that is massively overkill for what I need, but I didn't have any other options, and I originally wanted to buy Injection Dynamics 1050 IDX 1050X, but you can't get them anywhere. They're out of stock everywhere, so I went for the next best thing, which was the Bosch EV14, and I could get them locally from Motorsport Accessories down in Brendale. So I just went for a drive down there, grabbed them. I think it was Christmas Eve or something at that time, and I was just like, I just want to get injectors, get them in the car, so I've got something to do over Christmas. and I didn't end up putting them in until like March. So I technically should have waited until the injection dynamics were back in stock, but yeah, I just did it anyway. But I'm glad I did, because it fixed a lot of problems that I had with secondary fueling. So originally I was running the 670 blue injectors, the stock 4-port automatic secondaries, and I kept having lean and rich, and it was all over the place. It was terrible. So I bought a new set of injectors, put them in, it was still terrible. So that's when I went to the Bosch injectors, and since then I haven't had a problem with fuel at all. If anything, I get a little bit too much fuel now. Obviously 1650cc secondaries, when they come on, it definitely causes a rich spot, but I could adjust that with acceleration enrichment, or maybe to pull a little bit of latency out of the injectors and or a little bit of dead time. But yeah, they work perfect. Yeah, so as far as the actual internals of the engine, it's all OEM. There's no porting, there's no nothing done. There will be porting being done soon, either after I blow the motor or before I blow the motor, depending on how much money I can make over the next couple of weeks, couple of months. Will depend on what happens here. So the plan for the actual keg is rip it out before it dies, or before I blow a seal or something, so there's less chance of me having to replace bigger parts, and go to RX-7 apex seals. So I've got to get the rotors machined down a little bit to fit an apex seal, get corner seals, 2-piece corner seals, so the slotted ones, and then we'll do a street port with a bit of work on the exhaust ports, because they are pretty small on the 4-port. I have contemplated doing a half bridge, but I don't want to sacrifice drivability, because it drives really nice. Like I can take off at 1500 RPM and cruise around at 1700 to 2000. And it's smooth, it's fine, there's plenty of torque there. But if I go a half bridge, I'm probably going to lose that ability. So I really just want to go smooth but get more power out of it. And I think the biggest thing will be, the exhaust port is way undersized for what I need. So once I fix that, I reckon we're going to see quite a big gain in power as well. And obviously the intake port on the 4-port can be extended by quite a bit. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll also do aftermarket studs and dowels. So probably more than likely just studs, but I'm going to go to 1/2-inch studs. So I think you can do 5 on the RX-8 housings comfortably. Any more than that, and you're going to sacrifice a bit of strength, because you got to hone out or bore out the channels where the studs go. So keep it conservative, but I still want to make 350, 400 horsepower. So as for right now, my goal is just to drive it around for a bit while I save up some more money to be able to do the stud and dowel kit, and at the same time do the porting, do the RX-7 seals, do the 2-piece corner seals, replace the springs again, and we'll pretty much have to retune it at that point, because it'll be an entirely different car. Now, obviously, as far as the manual conversion goes, because it is an LSD, I don't need to swap over to the manual LSD diff. It is geared differently to the manual. So I think the automatic is 4.77, and the manual is like 4.3 or something like that. So my first gear is pretty short. I can do maybe 40 k's an hour in first, and that's at redline. So I've got a bit more torque down low as well. So that's what I like about it is, first gear is pretty useless, but it gets you moving. After that, it's fine. What else we got? Yeah, and that's really it. Like everything else is pretty stock. It's pretty basic. I've just got those Bosch injectors. The 6-port primaries. The IGN-1A coils. I'm running BPR 9EX spark plugs, I think. I've got them over here. That's T6701 in the leading. So running these in the leading, CNGK iridiums. I did have problems running this originally until I went to the IGN-1A coils. I was having a lot of misfires, and the stock coils couldn't ignite those under boost. So now IGN-1As, it was fine. I was running the R7 racing plug. I've got about them. 6725s. So I was running these originally, and that was on stock coils. Did not have a problem with these, but it idled a bit funky. So because they're a really cold plug, I think they're 11.5. I did have a lot of problems with idling and smoking and running rich, and yeah, it was terrible. So I went back to the 9s and idling smoothed out. Everything looks good. Everything feels good. Yeah. So I'm just pretty much going to take it as it goes there, and just keep doing the videos. And as I do things now, it's going to be, I'm going to get the son involved and get him to record it for me as well. So when we pull this motor out and do the porting and the start of the dowels, we'll hopefully have a video for that. Hopefully by about June, July, we'll start getting into that, and then we'll pretty much take it from there. As for everything, how much it cost me, I don't even want to think about it. It's way too much. Now for the turbo setup, obviously in the turbo video that I did, I am running the BrettSpeed cast manifold, stainless steel cast manifold, and that thing is awesome. It's small, it's compact, it's tidy. It runs a 44mm teal NVR wastegate with a 7 psi spring. So most of the time I'm getting 6.8 to 7 psi. As I get up in the RPM, I am sort of reaching about 8 psi. So the boost level does go like this and then spikes a little bit and then comes back down. But yeah, it's fine. Like, I don't want to go over 10 psi on the stock internal and the keg, so I'll pretty much leave that as it is for the moment. But being a 4-port, you got a bit more leg room than the 6-port. So 6-port does make more power with more tuning, but that's because it's got an extra 2 ports. The exhaust port's bigger, and the rear stationary gear is stronger, so it can rev higher. So I've got a rear stationary gear for this. So when I do the clutch and the rebuild, I will be putting that stationary gear in, so I can increase the red line to 9,000 RPM. That's pretty much it, really. But I got the turbo is an Aeroflow B5455, which is really, it's a clone of a Garrett G30 660 with a T3 flange on it. So it's a 3-inch V-band rear T3 flange, and it's a 0.83 rear housing, and I think it's a 76mm turbine. So it's pretty decent. It's responsive as hell. It's probably the best turbo I've ever had, really. It spills up quick, but I do have a problem with a little bit of smoke at idle now. So it started a couple of months ago before I went to BrettSpeed's manifold. But I think, I've submitted a warranty with Aeroflow about it, because if I sit at idle for 30, 45 seconds, I start to get a bit of smoke in the rear. As soon as I start driving, it goes away. And I've taken the turbine, or the core out of the turbo, and I can see there's oil cooling up on the rear turbo housing. So Aeroflow wants me to send them some information and submit a warranty claim for it, so that they can get it looked at and replace it if need be. But Aeroflow seems to be pretty quick at that kind of thing. So I'll hopefully get that done next week. And unfortunately, that means I've got to pull the turbo off again, which is not going to be fun. But it's got to happen. Well, there's a warranty there. I may as well do it. Exhaust side, it's a custom downpipe that I've built, as you can see in the last video, and it's a X-Force from cap to rear. So mid pipe is an X-Force and the cap back is an X-Force, and it's pretty quiet, really. Like, I thought it was louder than it is until I had someone else drive my car, and I was like, it's actually really quiet compared to most RX-8s out there. It's pretty quiet, which is what I like. And I don't want to have this rowdy RX-8 that's brapping away and making all sorts of sounds and pops and crackles. And I just wanted to be a nice cruiser that I could put the kids in the back if I want to drive, go down to Redcliffe for some fish and chips or something, or go to the mountains and just have fun. I don't draw attention to myself for having this ridiculously loud RX-8. So obviously ECU is stock ECU. This flash with Versa tuner by myself. I had to learn how to do that because no one else would touch it. Everyone wanted me to go a Heltec or an Adaptronic or a Link or whatever, so I went, fine, I'll figure it out myself. And yeah, haven't had a problem yet, touch wood. But yeah, we'll see how we go. I was just editing the video to post it up, and I didn't cover one thing, which was should you turbo your RX-8? Now, it's a bit of a debated topic, and I definitely cop a bit of flack for it as well. But the short answer is not really no, unless you know what you're doing. So the RX-8 Renesis engine is a high compression rotary. So it's I think it's 10 to 1 compression instead of the FD turbo REW or RE motors, which are like 9.6 to 1 or 9.4 to 1 or something like that. And then the old turbo 2 motors or the FC motors are like 8.4 or 8.6 to 1. So it's entirely different compression ratios. So you do run the risk of blowing your motor easily if you do not know what you're doing. So the big thing about turboing your Renesis is you cannot run high boost. So, on a stock keg, you do not really want to be going over 10 psi. You're going to break shit really, really quickly. Now, they also suffer from twisting the housing. So when you got the rear iron housing, the center iron housing, and front iron, they're all sandwiched together. When you start making too much power, they twist, and you end up breaking the weak spots of these irons. So on the front iron, there is where the dowel goes in. You can snap it off there, which will cause a pretty big oil leak. I think there's one in the rear as well. But yeah, you pretty much let go of coolant seals at that point, and you start springing oil everywhere, and it's not a fun time. So the idea is don't go over 10 psi if you get a stock keg. If you're studded and doweled and you're running better seals and everything, then you can go up to 14, 15 psi, as long as your fuel is correct as well. So here in Australia, the best fuel that we can really easily get is 98 octane, which is like equivalent to 93 or something in America. But we have a few places we can get E85 from. So ideally after 10 psi and your studding and dowling's done and the seals are done, you can start going into E35 or E40 mix or straight to E85. And that'll lower your limits of hit and detonation and blowing your seals out or whatever. But the big one that really is affected is ignition timing from higher boost levels. So keeping the boost below 10 psi and strengthening the engine up so it's not going to twist up under high load or high torque or high power, because it's a stock RX-8, you're lucky to get 220 horsepower out of it. With a turbo, and I think pretty sure the 4-port that I have, I probably was making about 150, maybe 170 at most, and now I'm probably pushing maybe 250. I'm waiting on access to a dyno so I can actually test that and get the electronic in so I can start tuning that. So once I've got that number, I'll come back and report it. But virtual dyno, I have thought about trying that. Whether it's worth it or not, different story. It's apparently it's pretty accurate, so I might give it a try. But all I know is going off the grams per second on the turbo and the math, you can sort of calculate a rough horsepower figure, and it's around the 250 to 270. But I don't want to push more than that because I am running stock internals. So keep that in mind if you are looking at turboing your RX-8. Do it with caution. You need to understand compression effects on ignition timing, what boost does to ignition and combustion. You need to keep an eye on EGT temperature, so exhaust gas temperature, because that really can skyrocket quickly, and then you end up warping irons and causing havoc. So like I said, you can do it. Just make sure you know what you're doing, or you research it first. And I'll be honest, until July last year, I had no idea about this engine at all, and I've just sort of taken it from there. And because I wanted to do everything myself, I had to learn, how to rebuild this engine, how to clearance it. I'd done one rotary before this, and that was about 12 years ago. So a lot has changed. It's a lot easier to find information now. But the tuning aspect, I've tuned bikes using Woolwich Racing software in the past. I did a little bit of work with them, but not very much. I sort of had to figure out how to calibrate a MAF, because I've never dealt with a MAF before. So that's why I posted that video, because I struggled to find any information at all about a MAF calibration. So hopefully it helped others, but yeah, I thought I'd add this in just in case people were like, oh, I'm just going to go buy a turbo kit and slap it on my car, and you know, next minute you're you've got an Apex seal sliding its way through the housing and grinding everything up. So yeah, it can be done, just be careful. All right, well, I'll leave it there. Thanks heaps for watching. We'll see you in the next video, but you know, if you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe, which helps me get the channel growing a bit. But you know, it's free to do, so may as well do it. Thanks again.